and welcome FlipClock fans. This is sort of a live version of clock review. Normally what I do is I'll look at the clock and then I'll do a voiceover so that you don't get a lot of the ambient sounds of the home. You don't get my cat mowing at me because he's always with me. He literally is always with me. Right, S'more? S'more? Right? Yeah, he's looking outside. That's his thing. Right? That's right. So, it's like those eBay listings, they say, from a pet-free home. If you ever see me putting one of those out, you know I'm lying. We have cats, dog, rabbits. So, but anyway, what I'm doing is I'm coming off of this review, and someone made mention of how the General Electric was kind of a boring clock, and it is. But look at this. We've got one to beat that. It's like in a, well, it looks like a tissue box. And what is that? So I saw that come up on the eBay, where I get most of my clocks, and they did not know the brand. So I looked at it. It says Model W225. And I looked at the digits, and I thought, you know, the case is garbage, but I mean it's a mess. But this thing would lend itself to being painted very nicely. So I'm gonna try to get creative here and paint that a certain color. Now the color I'll choose almost for sure is purple, and I have mentioned this before in my videos before. The reason I would choose purple, there are no purple vintage flip clocks. Now that's a challenge for you. Go look. There are no purple clocks, and it's really amazing. All the clocks in Japan, United States, and Europe. Now Japan and Europe, their colors were really vibrant. Back when we were doing wood grain and basic colors, you know, primary colors almost, they were doing some really snazzy clocks. So I'm going to paint it purple, probably with some accents. I don't know, orange, yellow, I don't know yet. Just to make it more interesting. Anyway, so I looked at that clock, and I wanted to let you know what kind of clock this is. If you see this, explain to you why you should buy it. I looked at that and I thought, you know what that looks like to me? I'll show you what it looks like. It looks like the mechanism that is used in the flip clock signs. And I know from experience that the various flip clock signs use copal mechanisms. And just because of larger digit size, of course, you see, we're significantly larger digit size on a clock like this. Of course, nowhere near megalith over here, but just for spares, it would be worth getting this clock. So what is this clock? Well, the W225, the W225, I should say, the W225, I have seen in advertising on what they call the Welby by Eglin. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Welby by Elgin. It's Elgin. Don't call it anything else. If someone from Illinois hears you calling it anything else, you're going to get roasted. It's Elgin, like the drink. It's Welby by Elgin, and you can see this in a couple forms. This form, the tissue box form, and you can also see the same kind of box up on sort of like a stand, and there's never really an explanation as to why it's on that, but it can go on the wall, so it could be a little shelf. Again, kind of boring, but kind of curious. So we're going to go with this together, and seeing the four screws here, I know from experience from the different sign clocks that I've seen that that's the attachment of the mechanism. So I should be able to just take out the two screws here and pull that right out. This should come right off. And there we go. Absolutely. So you look at this situation and say, what do we got? Well, there's a couple signposts here. We have this varnish impregnated fiberglass. These will break and crack, but when you see that, you know that probably this has not been messed with. You see a neon glow bulb that is very blackened. It does work, believe it or not. When I plugged it in, I thought I saw it. Let's take a look. Yes, it's glowing, but it's glowing just fine, but you're not going to be able to see it because of all this stuff here. The only thing you can do there is replace that bulb. I may go ahead and show you live how to do that. If some people are so inclined, it may be boring for some people. But yeah, you've got a nice mechanism here. So I could use it as a spare for different sign clocks that I have, or I could you could make a upscale clock out of this pretty easily. It looks nice. So there's no reason to take anything apart here except for this to fix that up, that bulb. So if you're interested, we can look at that together. I can actually do that live on camera so you can see what that entails. So I'm just prying that back to allow this to slip out. So like I talked about before, I use MEMOTRONICS C2As for pretty much all applications when it comes to my flip clocks. I've tried others, but it's the one that gives me the best brightness, and it fits right in. So now these are actually screw nuts. So that could mean, so you interpret, well, what could that mean? Well, it could mean that someone's already replaced this light once, because I'm used to seeing the crimp-on nuts, but that's not necessarily so. This is handy because I'll show you. This is handy because you've got to get this tube off. So what I'm doing now is I'm just loosening up this PVC here so I can pull this off. And I guess part of the reason why I'm doing this is because a lot of times, you know, you show these videos and you just do it, and someone might expect that it's easier than it actually is. So you can see part of that tube's being left in there. This is one of those fiberglass tubes, and it's in good shape. So oh, look at that. And it had a little piece. So it had, the way they did it was they had this little piece here on there, and then they had this on here, and it was overkill. It was really to prevent any kind of problems at all, because this is fire resistant. It'll actually extinguish fire. If you try to light it, it'll extinguish the fire, extinguish itself to a degree. So this is what we've got. We want to end up with something this length, this size, so it fits right back into the whole thing without any more manipulation. And I guess for fun, for restoration's sake, I'm going to try to keep everything. So I'm going to try to keep the same length and all that stuff. All right, so I would just get things ready. I'll get my bulb. It's always interesting to see how the manufacturer did it. It looks to me like they just wrapped that wire around there. We'll have to desolder that and find out. We'll get the leads to be the same. You can see the nipple size is different. So sometimes you can accommodate for that by pushing this in, but we'll get to that in a second. So we'll have to pause till I get all my equipment ready, and then we'll try to match this, keep the same wires and everything, just to be weird. Be right back.
Show starts in 8 minutes. Yum, yum. It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack.
So I'm going to desolder this. Basically, That just means I'm going to heat that up and pull that apart. I'll just see how easy that's going to be. It may not. You know, while I'm doing this, that's going to start getting my fingers hot up there. Oh, that was easy. All right, I like easy. So, and when I do this, I'm just going to lay the lead up against here. There's no reason not to, and put it on like that. And you say, well, I don't know if you saw that. Just like that. Well, why wouldn't you do it like the other Joker did years ago? And the reason is the other Joker did it that way because it was easier for him. He wrapped it around there. That way he could just wrap it around and do the soldering. So this Joker's going to do it the way I explained because it's going to be easier for me. There we go. Not too much harm done. We're going to use the same leads just for fun. So the longer one goes on the shorter lead. All right. It doesn't have to be done that way. You don't have to be exact. I don't know why. I think I have to. I always try to be as similar as it was originally. I gotta figure. So my leads will be a little bit longer than what are shown because I want the bulb, the effective glow of the bulb, to be about where this one was. So my leads are going to be a little bit longer. Let's see. So we'll make this one. This one's the one that matters. Okay, because this one, you see, I've got to put the resistor on. So the length there doesn't matter, but I want the overall length to end up being the same. So you'll see that in a second. So this shorter one's where I'm going to solder on the resistor. And if you're going to do this, you really need one of these octopus looking things. It just will save you. Or else you get your family to hold on to it. Speaking of family, I do have a big family. I have an extended family that lives here, some adult children, because life, but I really love them here. I'm going to miss them when they do finally go. We have got one out of the nest, but they're welcome to stay forever. But I'm the early bird. Everyone else sleeps in. So it's kind of nice. So I can get all this flip clock stuff done. I can do voiceovers without all the interference. I've got my soldering iron over here. It's been heated up the whole time. It's gonna work. So what you do is you actually heat the wires up first. The mistake people make is they try to melt the solder and drip it on there. You don't do that. This is rosin core solder. The rosin just helps things stick. Just a little, that's what that smoke's from. So you actually heat the wires up first. Some people say heat the wires up and let the solder melt onto those heated wires. I think that's too hot. I cheat and I'll touch the soldering iron to kind of get it started, and then it flows like that. So that's how you know you got a good connection. That'll work. And then back to here, and then I'll clip off right here. Remember, I want the glow to be about right there, this to be equal with that, and then this, I'll just trim that up a little bit. Doesn't matter where that's at, how far away it is. Crazy thing, I mean, it could be you know, a mile that way. It doesn't matter as long as it's in line. Okay, had to take a little adjustment time there to get things set up a little better. Anyway, so we've got this on here like this. These have already got solder on them, which you could call that pre-tinned. They call it that basically just to say it's already got solder on it, which will make things get together a lot easier. So again, this is a really good way to do this. You could cut this off and start over if you really wanted to. Do whatever you want, actually. It's America. Well, that'll work. The only thing I don't like is it's a little thick, and that little tube, it may have trouble fitting over that little tube. We'll see. Now that's hot. It'll cool down. It's probably cooled down by now. Let's find out. Yeah. I'm going to turn into like that guy. I don't know if you've ever seen that guy. His name's ElectroBOOM. He's all the time. He's a genius. He's all the time doing electrical stuff, but he's all the time getting hurt. And the first time you see it, you think, oh my God, he's insane. It's hilarious. So if you haven't seen that dude, you got to check it out. I mean, you'll binge on his stuff. It's hilarious if you haven't seen him. ElectroBOOM.
I forgot to turn on the...
I'm not interested in getting hurt, so... And I'm no genius. It takes a genius to get hurt without getting hurt. Okay, so that's about that. So you see, this does take a little time. I know I'm boring some people. It'd be like being part of my family, because most of my family are not into flip clocks. So that's why I do YouTube. At least this couple people are interested. So that's fair. That's a fair job. It really is. Well, that's a tight fit. Oh, it worked. So you see, it worked. Now this is the fiberglass one. Cat hairs. I wonder where that came from. Okay. I know some people do not like cats. That's your loss. I'm sorry. I didn't used to like cats. I used to say I was a dog person. Okay. I like dogs. I like all animals, actually. There we go. That's it. That's looking good. So, again, I could use a fresh tube on this. There's really no reason to do that. Just silliness. All right. So that's pretty much it. We don't want that touching any metal. That should be fine. Okay. Let's fire it up. That's better. You notice how the motor starts right up right away. This is a good little situation. So this, to me, was a really good acquisition. It came up on interweb. Now, you guys know, if you see something ugly clock like this, it's got a heart of gold. It's got a good mechanism in there, a larger mechanism, and that's it. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our little evening together. It's Memorial Day, and I had some extra time, so instead of just sleeping in, we played around. Well, if you made it this far, thanks for taking the time.